Hi guys, so what's up? Today I'm gonna be teaching you the basics about Beyblades, which are basically tops which you use these things called launchers to spin. And you basically see which one can last the longest. So basically this is how a Beyblade works. This is a stadium, and base stadiums are where you launch the Beyblades into. Sorry about the movement. Okay, there. So basically what happens is that when you launch it, it spins really fast, and then it spins. Basically, for depending on the parts, for a long time or a short time. And base can either spin right, which is this way, or left, which is that way, depending on how they're made. So, one thing that affects a Beyblade's performance a lot is the tip. If the tip is really flat, like this, you see how flat that is? Or that, it can cause it to have very low times, just a very low time of spin duration compared to something which is like this, because this is just a tiny point which concentrates all the spin power, so it has a lot longer. But if you have this, there's a lot more friction, more area meaning more friction, which causes it to lose stamina much faster. And when I said stamina, I meant spin duration. In the Beyblade world, spin duration is called stamina. So you're going to have to get used to that. So mainly Beyblades are made of 3 different kinds of things or materials. One is usually metal. Metal and rubber. Those two, though, are optional. They're not on every Beyblade. And then there is this, which is just plastic. So, mainly, as I know it, there's 2 mass producers of Beyblades. You got Hasbro, and then you got Takara Tomy. Hasbro is like, you might have seen it with Monopoly and those kinds of brands. It's basically like an all-gay manufacturer for kids. And then and it's English. And Takara Tomy is from Japan, and it's Japanese. But they concentrate a lot more effort into making the base, so they cost more. And speaking of cost, for a Hasbro Beyblade, you could expect about $10 for one, with the launcher. But for a Takara Tomy Beyblade, you could expect $30 without the launcher. That being said, the Beyblades that Takara Tomy makes are generally have a lot more power generally. So it depends on what you're after. And so when you spin, it all matters on the tip, the top, and the middle, because those are the parts that you have. Generally, you have 3 parts, but depending on the Beyblade stuff, there's a lot of other stuff. I'm just teaching you the basics. There can be more parts, but generally, there's at least 3 parts, or 2. There's this, which is called the energy layer, or the layer. There's this, which is called the disc, or the forge disc. And there's this, which is called the performance tip, a tip, or a driver. So how you put it all together is, if it's a right spinning Beyblade, you would take the metal, you would put it all the way here. You see those notches? They have to be aiming there. Then, once you have it there, you're going to take this, press, you see these dots? These 2 metal dots? You're going to put those, it's going to be all the way here, the forge disc or the disc. You're going to align those metal dots to these like imprints kinda, and then you're gonna press. Then you're gonna turn it this way for a right spinning Beyblade, and then for a left spinning one, for example this one, what you're gonna do is you're gonna put it the opposite way. You're gonna put the disc all the way here. Take that. You're gonna press it in, and then do it that way. So it depends on the Beyblade. And depending on the manufacturer, there can either be clicks, like how I'm going to show you right now. There can be like clicks where you like actually feel and hear something. Or for Hasbro ones, there can be like no clicks. It's just a slide. It just like slides, depending on the manufacturer. So basically that's a lot about Beyblades. That's the basics, and then you got a lot more factors, like first of all, how heavy is the metal? If the metal is heavy, that's gonna affect the Beyblades like generally its stability and how hard it's gonna hit the other bay. If it's light, it's gonna be flying around everywhere, but it's gonna have more stamina. So yeah, and generally heavier parts are better because they have more stability, and when they hit, they make more like actual like big hits. So yeah. And also, okay, what was I gonna say? Basically, sometimes depending on the launcher, you can only have one spin or one spin direction. Like this one's right. I don't know if you can see, but it says R right there. But then some are only left. So it depends all on the Beyblade and the launcher. And some, you have to like put in the ripcord. Like you have to put it in like that for some. But for some, it automatically goes back in. And so that's a little bit about the basics. And I'm going to tell you more. Because there's a lot more to Beyblades than that. One thing you got to remember is that whenever you have metal, the layer is going to be heavier. Like, the heavier it is, generally, the better it is. But if it's off-balanced, like sometimes some Beyblades can be off-balanced, or the tips, or the metals. Like for example, this has two modes, okay? One mode is a defense mode, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But basically, it's kind of like it has a lot more stamina than like attack tips. And then it has the attack mode if you push that down. When it goes in attack mode, the thing is that the tip, this ball, is off-centered. It's not in the center. So you would think that's really bad, but it depends on the situation. Regularly, it's really bad because then all the stamina runs out in like 10 seconds. But if you want a cool Beyblade which jumps, that's really good. And the attack power is really good as well, since when it's off balanced, it has a lot of power on one side, but another part is very weak. So if you have an off balance tip and you put it on the Beyblade, what happens is that, well, yeah, this is what happens. It bounces like a lot. Like I'm gonna show you right now. You're gonna see how much it bounces, and it bounces a lot. I'm gonna try to show you. I don't know if you can see this perfectly or anything. So yeah, here goes nothing. Just putting it on. Okay, so this is an off-balance tip, and I'm gonna show you. I don't know how good the camera angle is, but I'm gonna hold it like that. right after I launch. So 1 minute, guys. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah, look. It bounces a lot. And especially if you launch it at an angle with those off-balance tips. Then they happen to bounce a lot more. And when it bounces, you can get like a good shot or a good attack from above. So your Beyblade can be like, if you have a regular Beyblade, let's say for example, something like this, what would happen is that basically what could happen is if it's bouncing, it could hit something like that, making more of an impact. But that costs a lot of stamina. So you don't know if you want to really do that regularly. I would not suggest that. But if you have like an off-balance Beyblade, the thing is the attack power is insane. Like sometimes you can burst Beyblades with one hit. Literally one hit. And rubber also acts as like something that grips onto the other Beyblade, meaning it's easier to burst. So yeah. And then that's pretty much what there is to it that you need to know for basics. And oh yeah, I forgot. And one more thing that you're gonna have to know is that not all Beyblades are created equally, and there's 4 types of Beyblades. One is stamina, and as you would probably guess that, it has a lot of stamina. It focuses on stamina and is spinning as long as it can. Then you've got defense, which focuses on, well, defending the Beyblade. So it tries to like block attacks. And then you got an attack type, which is regularly like the most hitting. Like it hits the hardest because what an attack type tip does, or a Beyblade, is that it moves like really fast around the stadium. So when it hits, you have a chance to burst the opponent. And what a burst is basically when the parts fly, like they get unstuck together. That's when you do it. That's called a burst, and the opponent gets 2 points. If your Beyblade goes into one of these pockets, like there, there, and there, that's 1 point. And then if your Beyblade just runs out of stamina, that's 1 point. And these are all for the opponent. If the opponent's Beyblade does that, then you get the points. And 3 points to win is the regular amount that you would have for Beyblade battles. I would highly suggest starting off with a stamina type though, because those like are about what you would expect from a Beyblade. With attack and defense, you don't know what to expect. You could get something that's like really bad at stamina or like does barely any attack, or you get something that is really good. So if you don't want to take the risk, you should probably start off with the stamina type. And speaking of which, this is an attack type. The reason why it's called but it has a lot of stamina is because it's so small. The part that actually touches the stadium. So, but if you turn this on, it has a switch. What happens is that not all Beyblades have this. This is almost the only Beyblade which has this. But if you turn it on, basically, this spins. This red part, it spins, causing the Beyblade to go really fast around the stadium, which means a lot of attack. So that's why it's an attack type. Plus it has rubber, which is really good for attack. So that's pretty much all you need to know for the basics. Stay tuned for next episode, which I'll be posting next week. And it'll be all about like other stuff basically. Not only the basics. We're going to get much deeper into Beyblades. Like a lot. So, see you next time. Bye. So, bye guys. I hope you liked this video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Mega Ideas. See you next time. Bye.